Before we go any further, I want to freely admit that I don't have the evidence to prove that this story is true, but that shouldn't stop you from believing. Have you ever heard the legend about the hobo befriending a caveman? Well, one day the hobo was riding alone in a boxcar through the Southwest. It's a hot day and it's hotter in that boxcar without any ventilation. So the hobo decides to open the door. He does so, but the heat's already gotten to him and he's feeling sleepy. So he sits his pack in the corner, leans up against it, and takes a nap. Not too long goes by before he starts to feel an odd pressure on his chest. And he opens his eyes to see a man sitting on his chest with a knife to his throat. The man says, "My name's Tony, and if you don't give me that pack you're leaning against, I'm gonna kill you." The hobo is not happy to see a Bindlestiff in his boxcar. If you don't know, a Bindlestiff is a hobo who steals from other hobos, lowest of the low. Hobo takes his pack and hands it over, saying they're only possessions, you can take what you like. Tony rifles through the hobo's pack with his left hand, the knife firmly gripped in his right. He takes the items he likes and puts them in his own pack. Once he's done, he stands up and says, "Okay, now empty your pockets." The hobo does, emptying his pockets one by one, until he gets to an item of particular importance, a pocket watch. No man who calls himself a hobo goes around without a watch, and the hobo doesn't want to part with it. Tony insists, however, under threat of violence. The hobo, keeping his wits about him, takes the watch and he pitches it to Tony's right side, and as he turns to catch it, the hobo rushes him. A brawl ensues, but Tony's pretty good with that knife, and he cuts the hobo a couple of times. Hobo falls to the floor. Tony's angry now. He lifts the knife to plunge it into the hobo's chest, but there's a noise on the roof. Thud, thud, thud. They sound like footsteps. Thud, thud. They're heading toward the open boxcar door. Thud. And in from the open door swings a shadowy figure. Thud. It lands in the center of the boxcar, and standing before Hobo and Tony is a full-fledged caveman. Long hair, beard, loincloth. Both men are stunned. But as the shock wears off, Tony rushes the caveman with his knife. But the caveman's quicker. He sidesteps Tony and pitches him out of the boxcar with one motion. He then proceeds to Tony's pack with a mission and tears through it until he unearths what must have been a cow's bone and is gnawing on it. The hobo, unsure about what is in front of him, says, "Thank you," and follows it with, "Where you headed?" From his loincloth, the caveman unearths a flyer with his picture on it. Beneath it, it says, "Manimal, professional wrestler." The hobo is intrigued. It says he's going to Hollywood to wrestle for a television show. Hobo wants to tag along and he asks, can I follow you? And the manimal nods his head yes, and a friendship is born. Not all friendships last forever, though, but that's a legend for another time.